All right. And there we are. Hold on. And there we are. Why is this not? Oh no, I can't find myself. I found myself.
There you are.
Welcome back, everyone. So, tonight, questions no one is asking. First question up for bids.
Why do bees have knees?
Because butters fly. Lauren Boebert, if let's say she does for some miracle win this midterm, because it's so close, do you think that this is her wake up call to start acting like an adult?
It's a good question. It's a really, really good question. I would hope so. You know, I mean, I didn't pay attention to MTG's race, so I don't know how close that was.
She nailed it. She nailed it.
She hammered it out. Okay, and then she's free to continue to do what she wants to then in her mind.
Right.
You know, but she ran unopposed the first time, so she has opposition now. Maybe they just didn't have the right opposition. But anyway, back to Boebert. I don't know. I would hope so. I haven't really heard much of how she's taking this. A couple of headlines here and there, but I really haven't looked. So I don't know if she's kicking and screaming.
Color me stupid, but out of the two of them, I think she's a follower and not a leader. And that, yes, she sees what Marjorie Taylor Greene has been doing the past two years, and so she's been mimicking it.
Different constituents.
But now that she sees that even though she's doing that, it's getting her nowhere and could possibly lose her seat next bit around.
Very easily. Because it's going to be, if she wins, it's going to be by hundreds of votes, not thousands.
Is she going to take this to heart and go, okay, I need to change my strategy because all the yelling and screaming and acting the fool that I'm doing isn't getting me anywhere?
Well, there's probably things that, well, I don't know. I'll be getting into deep speculation territory, and I guess I should answer my own question first. But I don't know. I just wonder if her constituents in Colorado have the means of having a special election or something like that to remove her from office if she continues her shenanigans.
I do believe, just like they did with Newsom in California.
Yeah.
That's
right.
They can do that.
A recall. There you go. It's a recall. That's right. I forgot about that. But they may not have that in Colorado. I don't know if that's
right. I said they may have. Yeah.
That's something I'm just not familiar enough with to talk about, I suppose.
Now, let's ask the question that no one's asking. Why is slavery still on the books in one state, and they voted to approve keeping slavery this year?
Where?
I believe it was.
I guess I missed that one.
Somewhere by Louisiana. Let me check to make sure.
And was it voted out?
No, it was voted in.
That's just, I can't believe that even successfully made it anywhere without being a huge federal violation. Just the language in it alone, it doesn't make sense.
And it was Louisiana.
Wow.
The other 4 states that it was on the books on, Alabama, Oregon, Tennessee, and Vermont, all rejected.
Vermont?
Yep.
Okay.
All rejected.
So now that's gone in all those states except for one.
Correct.
So slavery is still legal in Louisiana.
Correct. And they're
That's stupid.
It has to do with involuntary servitude as punishment.
You mean like prisons and things like that? The correctional system?
It involved with the correctional system.
You're really lagging out bad. There you go.
Yeah, the sentences convicted felons to hard labor. Lawmakers trying to get rid of forced prison labor ended up torpedoing their own measure.
Yeah.
They told voters to
Now I
reject
get
it
it, because you're
because the
right. Because
ballot
they get
measure
paid like
included
5 cents an hour
ambiguous
or some
language.
bullshit like that.
Right. So Louisiana still has slavery on the books.
For prisoners and whatnot. Yeah, convicts. Wow. Yeah, I'm all for prisoners having some form of sustainability to their confinement. Perhaps something that'll benefit them beyond prison. To me, I mean,
It has to be.
as much as
that's
I
the
can
only,
do it, it's a
that's-
healthier lifestyle, you know. But they benefit from that experience. It's hands-on. It's whatever. It doesn't need to be torture. It doesn't need to be hard labor. You know, it's all stuff that they, you know, and then plus whatever else they do on top of that to help, you know, I mean, education or whatever to prepare them for coming out into the real world.
Well,
You
isn't
know,
hard labor
slave labor though,
basically
to help out a warehouse or pull someone else's crops out the field or blah 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 blah? No, it's fucked up. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, in that sense, in that sense,
Mm.
I believe that it has a benefit to them on the release. It gives them
Right.
a different
No.
type of
Benefit the
experience.
people because it's taxpayers that pay that. Don't benefit a company that's just going to turn over and not pass that savings on to their customers.
Right, but
So,
what
fuck
they're
that.
talking about is for no reason at all getting a bunch of convicts and putting them in a quarry and making big rocks into little rocks.
Yeah, right. For somebody else's benefit. other
No,
than
just for
taxpayer.
the hell
Oh,
of it.
just for the sake of doing hard labor.
Right.
Yeah, using teaspoons to empty up. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I
Whatever the case may be, I think if it's, you know, well, that's just ridiculous torture and a waste of manpower at the very minimum.
Whatever happened to the
Yeah.
cruel and unusual punishment clause?
If we're
I-
just
I
going to discard that part of our society, then what's the point of all crimes ought to be life in prison?
I mean, isn't that
You know?
and forgive me if I have this incorrect, but isn't that basically what Russian prisons are?
Oh yeah, most Chinese and so on. They're not the only ones. Oh yeah. I want to say places like I want to say Thailand, Burma, places like that are probably pretty strict in their
Aren't we trying to
labor
get away from?
situations as well.
Aren't we trying to get away from being like them?
Mm.
Why would we want to keep that? And in only one state out of 50. Yes, 50, not 52, not 48, 50 states.
Yeah, I know. Well, my opinion is if we're planning on bringing any of these people back into society as a contributor, we need to give them tools to be able to come back and succeed.
And what tool is hard
You know,
labor?
No, I'm not saying that
I know.
at all.
I know.
Oh, okay, you're being. I got you. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. You're right. It's.
I mean,
all
to
you're
me,
doing is turning someone sour, bitter, angry. You know. They have no
Or
desire to-
on the other spectrum, could it be turning someone scared? You know, because if they don't do this, they're going to get whipped. If they don't do that, they're going to miss meals. So that when they go on the outside,
Right,
they're-
but why not
they're gun
build
shy.
up someone's confidence to the point where they know they can get a job, where they know
Right.
that they can do well at whatever it is they decide to learn, you know, and have that to offer. You know, that's confident. It's something to look forward to because you can, hey, you know what? I might be able to buy a house someday. I might be able to have a car, you know, or other basic necessities that weren't available to you before because of the life you chose, you know? No, I think it needs to be more like that. I mean, we need more, you know, vocational type, you know, education as well, because there are some people that just don't do, you know, they don't want to be doctors, scientists, lawyers, whatever, but they do want to be carpenters, mechanics, diesel engineers, or, you know, whatever. They want to be in aviation. They want to, you know, whatever it is they want to do in that regard, they should be able to. You know, forestry, wildlife is another big thing. You know, there needs to be a big avenue and a way that the taxpayers that spend money to incarcerate these people and all that money they spend in their development or incarceration, however you wish it, they need to benefit from that. There needs to be a plus to that investment.
I agree with you, but I have to look at it from the other side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Taxpayers are going to say, why should we reward criminals with job experience when we have so many people?
I'm not
out of
saying
work?
reward. It's not necessarily a reward. I mean,
No,
they're still
listen,
in their
listen.
6x6 cell.
I know.
No.
Listen to what I said.
Mhm.
Why
I know.
should we reward criminals with job experience when we have so many unemployed people in the country who aren't criminals?
Well, that's a whole separate issue in itself. We're not talking. Hang on. That's an issue we can address. I think they need. Excuse me. I think that's an issue that we need to address simultaneously. I think in a way they're interconnected because our criminal system and and that homeless part of our society, the poor part of our society, the ones that typically, just more even so stereotypically, are where a lot of the crimes happen. So it's a circle process. They grow up in a shitty neighborhood, can't do anything, can't get a job even with education. And then they say, fuck it. It's, I see Bobby over there in the street corner selling crack and he's driving a freaking nice truck. And he's got girls hanging off him and he's got going out to clubs every night. I'll take that life. It's easy,
Yeah.
So we gotta break that cycle. We gotta make it cool. So if you think about it, what is the return for the investment of the taxpayer on spending money they're spending anyway? You're spending a minimal amount of money on a person, regardless if you educate them or not. You still have to feed, house, medical, and on and on and on for their sustainability in prison. You might as well get something back from that money. And that's a criminal that's educated that can actually benefit the system. That will not go back into jail.
Last I checked, someone who was sentenced to life, which is usually 25 to life,
Mm-hmm.
which comes down to about 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
It costs the taxpayers $35,000 a year for
Mm-hmm.
each convict that's sentenced to 25 to life. $35,000 a year.
I think there's an answer for that too.
Now, what I'm concerned about is the difference between having someone in prison and teaching them a usable skill for outside, a job skill for outside, and having a poor neighborhood where I don't care what color you are, your high school education wasn't good enough to get you out of McDonald's.
Or just where you were, just where you grew up was enough to not get you out of that neighborhood, that area.
And so you're living with mom flipping burgers at McDonald's while this guy who's a criminal now has a master's in electronics, and when he comes out, he's going to be doing better than you.
Yeah, but that's what I mean as well. We have to. It's like you're trying to. I wish you wouldn't do this because you say you come at me with one solution, and we walk toward that, and then you say, well, we have this problem over here. Well, how about throw all these problems with me at once, and then we can answer them?
Well, because I have to look at both sides. That's what I'm doing. I'm not looking at one side.
Yeah, no, but you throw the other side in there after a solution's already been
right because you have to look at all sides. Now, your solution works.
I'm not saying that. You're right about that. But you know what? If you're going to give me something to talk about, you need to give me all the shit up front to talk about. Don't surprise me with the other side. It just makes it that. I don't know. It makes it look pretty stupid when you have to backtrack to try to offer the new solutions for the other problem. It changes the whole dynamic of the problem. You throw in another scenario.
I'm not saying that your solution is bad. I'm just saying that there are people out there
I know that
looking at a different way,
and they got to get over it, or they have to stop being the problem and be part of the solution. I don't give a fuck if somebody thinks that I'm educating a prisoner to benefit society. Well, fuck you. You need to change what you're thinking about. That's your problem. We need people in prison when they hit the fucking street that they're going to be something and not go back into prison, not murder again, not rape someone again. We have to stop that cycle. Now, if you want to go into what we're going to do about poor people or uneducated people, we need to find a way to motivate them to not only to be better educated or to get into things that maybe interest them more, but we need to find ways that help to elevate people out of these situations. Maybe offer better jobs for people that are in these places. Hey, I got a better job over here. We might be able to help you relocate. You know, we might be able to help pay for your moving expenses or things like that. That's how I moved from Florida to Maine with my company, because they offered me a relocation bonus.
See, the way I see it is, okay, yes, we're educating criminals and convicts for when they get out to be job sufficient. But we also have that problem of...
You're still frozen, buddy.
Of course I am. Can you hear me, though?
Oh, I can hear you fine, but you're just like...
Why does it do this to me? It hates me, I swear.
I tried to put it in.
Oh, yeah. Here, you're going to see my
personally,
ugly mug
and
for a
there's some
second. Hold
aspects
on.
the way you're trying to tell me about, dude, but I don't know. I think some people need to rethink the way they look at things themselves.
Okay, so let me
Maybe they
finish.
need to search
All right,
themselves
but
for the proper answer.
let me finish. So we have these convicts that we're educating for job security once they get out, to be able to move into the job, the employment field. We also have people who are in either low income or low education centers where they don't get the skills that they need to become successful in the employment industry. So my suggestion is, yes, we can teach these convicts skills, employment skills, work skills, job skills. But on the flip side, we need to put as much effort into the education system in those lower,
of course, yes,
resulting communities.
Absolutely.
And if we did that,
but then people bitch about that too.
I don't see what.
Oh no, how come all this money's going here? What if I don't want to be in that shitty school? What if I want a voucher so I can go to this better school over here?
Are vouchers only for private schools?
No, vouchers are for wherever that person wants to go to school.
For instance,
now,
if we were in,
it didn't used to be that way.
For instance, if we were younger, when we were younger, we all went to Columbia. Right. Most of us. Are vouchers so that we could go to like Shenandoah?
I don't know. I don't know about Shenandoah, but I do know about what was being developed as a charter system. So I don't know if a school had to be part of the charter system and or in conjunction with other facilities that were made just to hold charter students. Like they didn't want to go to this school, whatever. So we have this private McDonald's that we turned into a private school that accepted charters from all over the place so they could build up a student base and some money. And that's how it became privatized like that. At least that's my understanding.
Cool.
Now we have those all over the place thanks to, one Amway CEO's wife or whoever, family. Yeah.
2 more questions and we'll cut this short. Just came across my wire that...
Don't say it. Don't give me bad news before I go to bed. You did it to me last night.
Not bad. Alex Jones...
Oh, I know, $500 million, roughly.
$478 million was just handed down. Now,
I only saw the headline. Made me feel good.
Wait, this is the question that no one's asking. Now he's well over $1 billion. At what point does it just become symbolic and it doesn't mean anything?
Well, isn't one of these cases in Texas? If they are, they're going to get... Texas has tort reform that's just ridiculous, so they're going to get maybe 10% of that, maybe or less.
Yeah, but I mean, if they keep tacking on all these, if they keep, let's say his net worth is $900 million. He's already well into $1.5 billion. So at what point does it just become a symbol and it's not really a punishment?
It's a punishment if you take all his shit away and make him file bankruptcy. Then that becomes punishment. Because most, if not his entire empire, was built based off of that Sandy Hook shit. And all his conspiracy stuff modeled around that. He intertwined everything into that. He kept advertising during all his shows for Sandy Hook because he got a lot of views. Plus his viewership is in the tens of millions, if not even higher, if I'm not mistaken. I remember those
Right.
numbers were high. They're in the millions for sure.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were even higher than that. Conspiracies seem to, gain speed of their own after a while. But anyway, if he's left penniless, then he gets what he deserves. Even his wife, his ex-wife, man, the shit she has to say about him. But then again, I know she's biased because she's an ex-wife, but I get along with my ex-wife, so,
You're a rare breed, man.
no, it just took time. But still, yeah. I don't know what they're gonna get, but I've seen a good chunk of. You've seen all of it, haven't you?
Pretty much.
Do you think it's? Forget whether he can afford it or not. Do you think it was a justified amount of hammering for him? Considering all the pain and suffering he caused these fucking people. People were trying to dig up his kid. They were defecating on his grave. Man, that's fucked up. I'm sorry, but that's what people were doing.
I understand that, and I do believe that he should take some responsibility for it.
Some.
Wait, let me finish.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I think that the people that did that need to take personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
And not try and pawn it off and say it's his fault because I followed what he said.
But he pushed
You have
it from
personal
day one to the
responsibility.
last day.
But you have personal
Christ.
responsibility. If you did something like that, you should be held just as accountable as him telling you to do something like that.
I don't know. Then that's a separate case. All of these other people, if you choose to do that route, which, whatever, all I'm saying is Alex Jones, these people wouldn't have done things like that if it was not for him. They wouldn't have done it. Trump, these people would not have stormed the freaking Capitol without him saying, let's go.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't incite it, but I'm saying as with the Capitol rioters, they're all getting punished individually because of what they chose to do.
They're still using that to go after him too. The main focus of these
right.
him because
But they're being punished individually for what they chose to do.
True.
Why isn't
True.
that
That's
happening with Sandy Hook?
I think because it's the government against the people. They've got the resources to go after 800 plaintiffs.
Right.
An individual, I really don't think has the resources to go after all of these people. They may now, if they win these large amounts of money, now they've got the money to start doing all these other things with these other people, at least from a civil regard.
What about criminal regards? Why,
then that's another thing they can push too. You got to find the evidence and things like that. That becomes expensive. I don't know what they have or haven't done. I bet you some of these things have gone to their own criminal courts, like the defecation on the grave and vandalism and things like that. I don't know if those things have been addressed or not. They've been a course of 10 years or more. I mean, how long was that? That was so long ago, but the fact that it's still going on all these years later, I mean, yeah, I totally 100% see your point. I really don't I wish I had an answer, but none of these people would have ever, I doubt any of these people would have ever even considered this had it not been for Alex Jones and all his pounding on this stuff and hammering it the way he did. If you saw the trial, you saw more evidence than I did, I'm sure, because I didn't watch it all. But it was sick.
Damning?
Huh?
Damning?
Yeah, do I hear you? Yeah.
Last and fuzziest question.
I thought you were going to throw in at center too.
I watched Biden's speech the other day. Yesterday? 4:00. And one of the things that stuck out was him talking about wanting children to be enrolled in educational schooling as young as 3 years old. Not Head Start, not daycare, but actual schooling.
Like pre-K. I went to pre-K
Um,
at the firehouse off of Sherwood Ave. I went to pre-K. I remember that, actually. It's very strange. But yeah.
so my question is, do you think this is something that we need, or do you think that this is something
Yes.
that's just a waste
Yeah.
of time?
No, the sooner you can begin to educate a young mind, the better. Absolutely. Yes.
But don't we have that with Head Start with 3 and 4 year olds? Why do we have to make a mandatory school for these kids?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure about mandatory, but I kind of, it's been a long time since I've had a kid. I don't know. I think that if it was paid for and it was also a good place to get a proper education on my child. But on the flip side of that, I am getting a little bit worried on how corrupt our education system is getting now, where they're burning books and not allowing certain types of material to be taught to our kids. And I don't know how I feel about that now. So that changes that variable for me on answering that question. I don't have a kid right now that's at that age. I don't know. I might not be technically qualified to really answer that question. I don't think. Because
The solution for burning books and limiting the speech the teachers are allowed to use in the classroom, should that be something left to the state, or should it be on a federal level?
Well, I mean, I don't. That's a good question. That's a really, really good question. I think federal level, it should be blanket. Whatever one school does, the rest should fall in line and do. Because that way, it's that form of thing is better controlled, and I think it should be, especially seeing the field I'm looking at now.
Right.
You know, we don't need, one, like, people travel now with work. Things happen. I'm in the military. I spend 4 years here, 4 years there. My kid's going to learn things. I want a fairly rounded education and exposure from my kid in that regard. And there's no reason why the fundamentals shouldn't be the same in mathematics and English and, social studies and things like that from one side of the country to the next, with the addition of local things, some whatever history that might be for the area. I think might be something pertinent to learn. Things
People
like
in
that.
California don't need to learn about Schuyler Mansion or stuff like that. From
No,
New York.
maybe they should touch on it, but go into depth. No, but on the flip side, the people in New York should kind of get the basics of California, LA, and whatever there's there, and so on and so forth. But I don't think, banning books. I don't know. I think a lot of books, to some degree, kids are just gonna, that part of it they can figure out. Of course, you don't want adult books in a K area, but as I get older and older, that needs to change. If there's
That
a little
library
bit of
should be
mud here and there or whatever. I mean, but it's not a matter of this smut. It's a matter of, does that material, is that required to tell the story? If it's
Right,
not
I mean, to
needed to
turn
tell
around-
the story, then maybe the age group for that needs to change. Whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of that should be broader. I'm not saying the same books exactly cookie cutter throughout the country, but I'm saying a similar classification or circle of books for various age groups through stages of development. But cutting out books, not teaching about LBGT stuff.
Well, that brings me to
that's just the education level of the person. I think now one more thing. I'm sorry, I know you had something to say, but real quick, I didn't realize that CRT, as they call it, was a college level. It should be taught in schools. It should be taught at probably 7th grade is probably when they should be introduced to it at minimum, and
They're
on the
trying
way
to-
through to high school. Fuck that.
they're trying to ban it in primary and elementary schools and
It doesn't exist.
high school, and it doesn't. Right, correct.
It doesn't exist. They're
Correct.
chasing a phantom. It doesn't
And
exist
then they
in
say,
any public education.
and then they say, look what good we did. We banned CRT, but it was never there to begin
It
with.
was right. It was never there to begin with. Right. Never.
That's
did.
like saying,
I
hey,
never
you
learned-
notice?
I wish I did.
It's
I
like,
learned civic.
hey, you notice we don't have any kids urinating in litter boxes in our
Oh
school
my
anymore?
God. Oh
You
my
never
God.
did, so shut the fuck up.
I know. Fucking furries. Are you fucking
Now here's
kidding
my
me? But
point.
thank God though, because most people didn't buy into it, and that's why we had fewer of those people voted in.
Here's my counterpoint, my last counterpoint to this, and that is, I agree that it should be federally regulated. My question is, what about the people who feel that less government is better? Is it their time to just shut up and just accept the fact that, we tried it your way and it doesn't work?
And it doesn't work because now we got to clean up the mess from the last Republican that was in there. It always happens. We always clean up their fucking mess. But because we're still cleaning up their fucking mess, then they're like, oh, you guys didn't do anything. Yeah, because we had to clean up their fucking mess first.
And then the
we can
question
start doing
is,
shit, and then we get voted out. And the budget, the budget was balanced for like the first time under Clinton. Do you know that?
yeah. And now,
We're trillions in debt now.
And now the question is, I feel we should have the federal government in there regulating things, but to appease those who feel less government is better, they should have the option to use a private school that's not regulated by the federal government and that can ban whatever books they want if they truly want less government in their schooling.
Hey, towns that want to pay less taxes too, when their plumbing fails and their streets are all fucked up and phone power goes out all the time, then they might raise taxes and start fixing that shit.
Well, look at what happened in Texas during the storm.
Yes, because they're off
because
the
they want to
federal
be
grid.
independent.
Mhm.
They want to be independent,
And they stuff
yet-
their pockets instead.
and the whole thing collapsed.
When
whole
it shouldn't
thing
have, because it wasn't that bad of a storm. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
Well, Matt, I will say this.
Yeah, I know, right? On that note, fucker.
I will say this, that there's a lot more questions out there that people aren't asking that I think that, can be addressed through us because we're awesome.
Oh, yeah, no
So-
doubt.
So,
There's always
what I'd
solutions
like-
to problems.
oh yeah. I mean, we may not have all the answers, but at least we have the conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. Agreed.
And that's where
Yeah,
it's
man.
got to start. So, Matt, I want to thank you again for all your input and your great ideas tonight.
Yeah, you too, Louie.
And-
Good, man.
And we'll call it a day and have this wonderful chat again next week.
All right, man. Catch you next time.
All right. All right, brother.